On this task, you were asked to group a yellow square with a gray square with a pink or red square with a blue rectangle and a green rectangle. There's only 3 sets of equations. Okay, there's only 3 equations, there's 3 sets. All right, so let's take a look. I like this yellow one. There's our story. So the length of a regular hexagon is increased by 4 on each side. Well, I know a hexagon has 6 sides. All right, I'm finding the perimeter. Perimeter is 88. What is the original length of the hexagon? Well, it says the length was increased by 4 on each side. So if the length was x and it was increased by 4, so x plus 4, and there's six sides to a hexagon, that means I have 6 groups of x plus 4 equals 88. That's how I would find the perimeter. So is there an equation that says, oh, look, there's one right here. So let me move this one out of the way. And the problem most of you had with this activity was you didn't know what to do with a red square, and you didn't follow the instructions. There was an instruction on our Google page or on our Google Doc, and there was also instructions down here. Many of you did not take the time to do it right. All right, so now let's take our next yellow square. It's not really a square, but we'll call it a square. It's got rounded edges, not 90-degree angles. All right, I think of a number. So that number is going to be x. Add 6 to that number. So I've got x plus 6. And then it says multiply by 4. So 4 groups of x plus 6. I have x plus 6 as a group times 4. Oh, here it is right here. And the answer is 88. So I think of a number, add 6. So x plus 6, and then I'll multiply that number by 4. All right, well, that means this last one has to be 4x plus 6 equals 88, but let's read it and make sure, because we could have made a mistake, or I could have made a mistake. All right, Mari is paid $6 each week for allowance. She receives $4 for each chore she completes during the week. So $6 each week for allowance. She receives $4 for each chore she completes. So she gets $6, period, for allowance. In addition to $4 per chore. How much money does she earn for each chore if she receives 88 for that week? All right, well, let's take a look at our last equation and see if that works. I'm moving this one out of the way. All right, this one looks good. Here's our $6 plus 6 is the 6 flat dollars she gets just because she has great parents. My parents didn't give me $6. And our first code letter is P. So $6 for allowance plus $4 per chore. So X represents the money she gets for her chores. All right, so the next part was we needed to go over, we needed our gray, it's not a square, but our gray box, it's not a box either, our shape, to help us solve these 3 different equations. So I divided 88 by 4, then subtracted 6. Okay, well, I have 4 groups of x plus 6. So I could take 88 and divide it by 4 and have 1 group of x plus 6. That one looks pretty good. We'll see when we type in our red box, because in the red box, we were supposed to show our steps. That means we were supposed to solve the equation. It wasn't a check. It was to show the steps, to show the work in order to find the value of x. All right, let's read this one. Use the distributive property. Well, we only have 2 options here for the distributive property. Subtract 24 from each side, divide each side by 6. All right, well, 6 groups of x is 6x, 6 groups of x is 24, so I can subtract 24 from both sides, and then I have 6x, so I could divide it. Okay, this one looks pretty good. I'm happy. All right, here, subtract 6 from 88. Okay, divide by 4. Perfect. I like it. Guys, the steps were already here. All we had to do was type them out, okay? And there was instructions down here. There's also equatio instructions. Let me see if I can get a text box clicker to, come on. Can't be that hard, can it? There it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, in the middle. All right, so my original equation is 6 groups of x plus 4 equals 88. So it says to use the distributive property. So let me use the distributive property. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Let's go 12. There we go. So the distributive property we learned about last week would mean 6 times x, okay, plus 24 equals 88. Okay, so I've used the distributive property. It says then I subtracted 24 from both sides. Okay, well, let me show that step. Okay, so I subtracted 24 from both sides. So my new equation at this point would be 6x equals 88 minus 24 equals 64. And that makes a lot of sense because 64 plus 24, right here, 64 plus 24 equals 88. So now it says I divide both sides by 6. Well, perfect. Let's divide everything by 6. Let's divide by 6. These are division bars, guys, division bars. So let's divide by 6. 6. 6. Let's take these underlines away. They're not supposed to be there. So that means that 6x divided by 6 is x, and 64 divided by 6, I could reduce that by 2. That would give me 32 over 3. And 32 over 3, I'm just doing the math in my head, would be equal to 10 2/3 as a mixed number. So that's what the red square was for. So a lot of you need to go back and fix your red square. All right, let's do this one real quick. It says I divided 88 by 4. Well, why did I divide 88 by 4? Because there are 4 groups. Oh, come on, don't do it again to me. Hopefully you guys didn't have this problem. Anyway, while we're waiting on me to figure out where my typing button is, the next letter in our code is A and R. Oh, come on. Deleted it. There it is. Now maybe I can do it. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's my motto. All right, so let's divide both sides by 4. So my original equation is 4 groups of x plus 6 equals 88. If I divide 4 groups of x plus 6 by 4, I'm only left with 1 group of x plus 6. So we're dividing by 4. And it tells us the steps. That's what's great about this problem. There was no guessing. It tells us what to do. So that means that x plus 6 has to be equal to 22, because 88 divided by 4 is 22. And that makes sense. If I plug in 22, 4 times 22 does equal 88. So that makes a lot of sense. All right, and then it says the next step is to subtract 6 from both sides. So let's subtract 6, show that step. So x equals 6 minus 6 is 0, and 22 minus 6 is 16. So my solution is x equals 16. Perfect. It's right here. I like this task. All right, and let's do the last one. Our next letter is D. I'm not even going to bother. And our next code letter after D is S. Let's do this last one. Our original equation is 4x plus 6 equals 88. It says we are going to subtract 6 from 88. Oh, perfect. That's the first step in order to isolate x. Subtract 6 from both sides. So that leaves me with 4x equaling 88 minus 6, which is 82. Okay, and that makes sense. 82 plus 6 equals 88. And then it says we're going to divide by 4. Well, let's divide by 4. Okay, this is the division sign. The underline is representing the fraction bar, division, the symbol division. So let's divide both sides by 4. Well, 4x divided by 4 gives me 1x. I'm left with 1x. Oh, come on. So x is equal to, and 82 divided by 4 is 20 and a half. So there we go. We have finished that. And our last code symbol is an exclamation point.